Hey, we're live on Facebook Live, Tara.
We're live on Facebook Live?
We're live on Facebook Live.
Sue Hitzmann, we're live on Facebook Live.
I'm so excited for what is about to happen.
Oh
for the
my
next
God.
90
It's
minutes.
Tara Marie live on Facebook Live.
Oh my God. I am so happy.
There's our camera. Hey, Facebook Live. How are you guys all? We're coming to you from the Hangar Studio. Of course, I'm Tara Marie Segundo, host of Tara Marie Live. This is my guest, Sue Hitzmann. I've been dying to get her on. Sue Hitzmann, you've probably heard of her if you have been aware of what's going on in the not even the fitness world, just the
wellness.
just the wellness world,
Self-care.
Yeah, I'm going to talk more about it when what we're about to do is pre-record a podcast, and we like to include you guys, and of course you can type in the comments section. I don't have my phone with me. Chad has it outside of the studio.
Yep.
But you can interact with us. Sue's here for the whole show. Sue is the author of this book, and this is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about getting out of chronic pain, and more importantly, staying out of chronic pain, because it becomes a vicious cycle. And we're going to be talking about her very, just a breakthrough treatment plan called the MELT method. And and I can say that because I've studied it. I studied it in 2008. I did her entire course, everything that you offered at that time.
What it was at that time.
And it was like a 60 or 80 hour course. It was fantastic. So get ready, get your popcorn, enjoy the show. And Chad, shall we
need
do
to do this screen grab.
Oh, and Chad's with us. Chad, say hi.
Hello.
Because I've told Chad knows everybody wants more of Chad, less of me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So more of Chad, less
Very
of me.
sweet.
Yeah. Very sweet for Chad, yes. All right, so we're going to do...
I have met Chad, and he is pretty cool. So.
Chad, no, let me tell you something.
He really is. He's a cool dude.
On season 2, Chad's going to reveal himself to the camera because
That's right.
He's become like this... It's become like this. Who's Chad? Like who? What's
Can
this Chad thing?
Fight the White Walker.
He's gonna
Bring it on.
He's gonna reveal himself to the camera. I just don't know when because I want to keep the ratings up because I feel like if I say when, then
you got to keep him guessing.
Right. Okay.
Well, I'm here, so the ratings are going to fly through the roof tonight.
Exactly.
With you and me.
So let's
Come
do
on,
it.
let's
We have
get
to do a
into
quick screen grab. Just do it. We'll
Yeah,
just
smile for the cameras.
Yeah. No, this will be a screen grab. So this will be for the.
The YouTube video.
Yeah, for the YouTube video. So just do a quick screen grab.
Sorry.
Okay, Chad. What should we do? Just a couple.
Yeah, I don't know
seconds?
what you just look at. Yeah.
Okay, and we're gonna look into that camera.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Chad, did that look good?
Yeah, I think it did. I'm
You
looking
swear?
at the camera. Well, I don't swear anymore.
Oh, okay. You gave it up for Lent. Okay. All right, let's do one more. Let's
This
do one
Jew
more.
gave it up for Lent.
Hey,
Yes, continue.
People who curse are good
Let's
people.
get it. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
I
hope
think we
that
got
didn't
it.
look stupid. Okay.
Great.
All right. So
Well, we're
gonna
showing people how the podcast and how
But
it's all
did
done.
but did it look stupid, Chad?
No. I mean, what's worse is we're still dialing in the cameras here.
Woman, there's
Oh.
no
Okay,
way
I got
you
your
would
close
ever
up
look
right now.
stupid.
Close up, close up,
Okay.
close up. We're all good.
But the screen grab looked good.
Yes.
In other words, it didn't look dorky. Okay. Because I think we can all agree I'm not dorky.
No.
That would not be a word for Tara.
No. Okay. So are we ready, Chad?
I believe we are ready for the podcast. Yes, let's do it, ladies.
Okay, and you'll hit the clock. Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
You want to do a countdown or?
Yeah, just count it down and the clock will start.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Well, hello and welcome to Tara Marie Live. Thanks so much for joining me today. I am your host, Tara Marie Segundo. I'm a fitness expert, a personal trainer, and a motivational strategist. And once again, I'm coming to you from the Hangar Studios right here in beautiful New York City. Tara Marie Live is about mental, emotional, physical, social, and spiritual health. And with each show, my goal is to demonstrate that all these parts of us are linked and need to be nurtured because really, if you neglect one aspect of yourself, the other parts tend to suffer. Now today, once again, we're doing a Facebook Live simulcast of the pre-record of the podcast. So we want to welcome all our Facebook Live friends. Hi out there in the Facebook community. Now today's topic is one that I think is going to relate to everybody. I know that at one point in my life, I could have said that this related to me. Thank God it doesn't now. But I can think of a lot of people in my life to whom this does relate. And that is chronic pain. Chronic pain. And Chad, you said you were not in chronic pain.
Yeah, no, I'm blessed with that. Yes.
Okay, so it's good if you're out of chronic pain, but there are a lot of people who are in chronic pain, and it really can diminish your quality of life. It can make you miserable. Believe me, I've been in it before. It can make you miserable. It starts to hurt your relationships because you act miserably. It can sometimes keep you out of work, which then creates financial strains on your family. it can really ruin your life depending on the level of pain you endure on a daily basis. Now, this statistic caught me off guard. 100 million Americans suffer from chronic pain. This is according to a study conducted by the Institute of Medicine of the National Academies. And chronic pain affects more Americans than diabetes, heart disease, and cancer combined.
Exactly.
I did not know that.
Is that insane?
I did not know that.
It's a lot of people. I actually think that number's probably low. You know, how many people are suffering and don't go to the doctor?
I think that's low.
Don't have insurance to go to the doctor.
And
Do you know what I mean?
think that's low because that wasn't a 2018
Do you
statistic.
know what I mean? Exactly.
And listen, chronic pain is not just an American epidemic. Statistically, over 1.5 billion people worldwide suffer from chronic pain. And the four most common types are, you probably would guess, low back pain. It's number 1. Severe headache or migraine, number 2. Neck pain is number 3. And facial pain is number 4. Amazing. Probably facial pain coming from the neck pain. A study by the National Institutes of Health found that 1 in 10 Americans experienced pain every single day for 3 months. You talk about put you in a pissy mood. Lower back pain, like I said, is the most common form of frequent chronic pain, affecting at least 26 million Americans between the ages of 20 and 64. And 7% of persistent low back pain cases develop into chronic pain. So by persistent pain is different than chronic pain in that it's persistent, but chronic is when technically it's when it's been 3 months or more. That's how the medical community defines chronic. Now, it does seem that age is an important factor when it comes to those who are affected by chronic low back pain, because statistically, people 18 to 44 were less likely to have it compared to people who are 45 and under. And when we talk to our guest today, you'll understand why that is, just general wear and tear of life.
45 and over.
45 and over,
Right.
excuse me. 45 and over tend to have greater levels of back pain.
Correct.
And that's according to a survey by the Center for Disease Control.
But what's interesting is people 45 to 65, interestingly, are the ones that have the most signs of low back pain. And then as they get older, it's less about their back and they have other issues that are precedenting their sense of their low back pain. Isn't that interesting? So 45 to 65 are the majority of the people in America who suffer from the most chronic pain. That's the demographic. So you and I are in the spectrum,
I'm in the demographic. I'm in the
Damn it.
Chad's in the, we're all in the demographic. I mean, that's what it is. Now, check it out. And this made me really sad, because this is half. When asked, 4 out of 10 people with chronic pain say it has a negative impact on their overall enjoyment of life, including interfering with their mood, sleep, and ability to work. And 77% of people with chronic pain report that they feel that they go into a depression,
and they don't have sex anymore either.
So it makes me
Let's
me
be
sad.
honest.
It just makes me sad that these people,
Yeah.
you know, it's the number one cause of long-term disability in the United States. Now, here's the caveat. Chronic pain obviously has a variety of causes, ranging from perhaps an initial injury to an ongoing illness, but in some cases, it seems that there's no clear cause or reason for the pain. Because of this, chronic pain can be very hard to treat. Well, my guest today says, hold up. Hold up. Wait a minute. All chronic pain, she says, does have a reason for being. And she has spent her entire career developing a technique that not only helps explain the reason for chronic pain, but it also will help you heal your chronic pain, and I mean permanently. And you can do it all from the comfort of home. So please welcome my esteemed guest. I consider her a friend. I've known her for 10 years. Sue Hitzmann. She's a nationally recognized educator, manual therapist, exercise physiologist, and founding member of the Fascial Research Society. She'll explain what that is. And she's also the creator of the MELT method, a self-treatment technique that helps people heal from chronic pain. Sue is the author of the New York Times best-selling book, The MELT Method, a breakthrough self-treatment system to eliminate chronic pain, erase the signs of aging, and feel fantastic in just 10 minutes a day. Now, if you've never heard or seen Sue, I don't know what rock you've been under, because she's been on Dr. Oz, Nightline, Good Morning America, The Rachel Ray Show, Live with Regis and Kelly, and Tara Marie Live, of course. And her book has been featured in magazines like Self, More, and Prevention. So welcome, Sue Hitzmann. And again, this is the book. For those on Facebook Live, you can see it. There's the book. The book, and it came out in paperback. Now, I've known Sue since
2008.
May of
you
2008.
said.
So the way the story goes, I think this is cute. In May of 2008, I don't know if you know this story. In May of 2008, I thought about possibly doing group fitness classes again at what was at the time Reebok.
Yeah,
Over on Columbus in '67,
1995.
Columbus
I
is- yeah.
opened. Kirk Moore was the exercise
Okay,
guy.
but now it's not Reebok anymore.
It's now owned by Equinox.
Equinox.
It's still called. It's now Equinox Sports Club.
Yeah.
So it's a phenomenal club in Manhattan.
But I went in
Very
there,
prestigious.
and the lady to whom I spoke, who she goes, take some classes, just see how we do things here, and she circled some. So I just wandered into Sue's class one day, and
So
I really it was a melt class. So I thought nothing, but I
What's
loved it.
that?
Talked to you after the class, and that summer, so that was in May, early May, that summer, over the course of June, July, and August, I ended up taking several 4-day trainings where it was like 10 hours a day, 4 days in a row, 3 cycles. There were different cycles. That was how you did it. So it would be like a Thursday through a Sunday, and then 2 weeks later, Thursday through Sunday, etc. And I got certified in all of your programs. Also, I did the hand and the foot treatment, which I continue to do religiously. And when I was doing a lot of private clients, working with a lot of private clients, I used the techniques, and then I've continued to use them a lot on myself. So, and I can tell you at 52, I don't have an ache or pain in my body, knock on wood.
Yeah, me either.
But-
I'm not 52.
Yeah.
I'm 47, but I'm still, I'm
20
hitting
years
those
ago, I had
numbers.
pain. Yeah.
Me too. When I was in my late 20s, I had chronic pain.
I had it in 20 years
It's
ago.
one
I
of
had
the
it in
things
my,
that
yeah.
completely changed my career path for sure.
So why don't we start there? That's exactly where I wanted to start. You're not a stranger to suffering. This does give you some street cred, obviously, because I think people would you wouldn't have as much credibility with people who are in extreme pain if you had never had it yourself.
Well, I think we can all have empathy for people who have pain, but we have all experienced pain, right? Pain is universal. We've all experienced, it because everybody, accidents, illness, injury, even heartbreak, the flu, all of these things can cause your brain to send you a signal that it's alerting you that something's not right in the body. And the way that we react and respond to those messages from when we're young on out really is how we create and associate pain as we age. And that is one of the things that in science, and what I'm fascinated with, is what is it that causes pain to become chronic?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the thing that science is complex. And so we're all looking for some quick fix. But if you don't really understand what the problem is, then finding the solution for it is oftentimes very difficult.
But see, you and I have the similarity in the sense that so tell them the story about, because you talk about this in your book, when you were in your late 20 years ago-ish, yeah, you were a fitness icon on the cover of magazines, and I
don't know if I was an icon, but I did. I had an international best-selling boot camp video, and it had actually gone international, and I did a lot of ESPN fitness shows with Crunch, and so I was definitely known for all of the.
And you were on
weight
covers
training.
of magazines.
Totally,
I was. So you presented.
I was so muscular, it was crazy.
But agree that you presented as the picture of health.
I was. I mean, my whole story is basically that. I mean, even as a kid, I've always had this fascination with aging. Right. My basic story in a 60-second hit of why is it that I am the person that I am today
doing this work. Yeah.
Right. When I was younger, my great-grandmother was the most spry woman. I just was so enamored with her. And then one year I came back.
You said?
My great-grandmother.
Okay.
And she was very intuitive, really loved me. She was so full of love. And then the next year I came back to her, she didn't remember my name. She didn't know who I was. And she was in a home with all of these old people. And I just remember being stunned and saying to my Aunt Mary, "What happened to great-grandma?" And she said, "She just got old." And I went, "Are you going to get old?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Am I going to get old?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, how do you stop it from happening?" And she said, "You don't." And so
it scared the
so aging in general, when I was very young, had a meaning. And then of course you get into puberty and your teenage years, and then aging and getting older becomes something else. But in the back of my mind, that was always what is it that keeps you active, healthy, and feeling good? And in the 70s, I mean, Jane Fonda and Jack LaLanne, that was the epitome of health. And so that's what I went after. And I was kind of a chubby kid.
Yep.
My dad kind of picked on me. I was a little, everybody was bloated in the 80s.
I was a chubby kid. Yes.
Chubby. So I looked to fitness, and I went from like 130 pounds in 8th grade to 100 pounds in 9th grade. And I was strong and fit. And I really believed, I had a belief that if I exercised and I ate right, I was going to live a more healthy, active, pain-free life. Okay, so at 16, I became a fitness instructor, and I did jazzercise and dance classes and stuff like that. And then when I moved down to New York, I got a master's in physiology and anatomy, and I was teaching.
At NYU, right?
And I was getting group exercise classes, and I was teaching all over New York City. And with all of the science and the knowledge I had gone through neuromuscular therapy. I had met Leon Chatow and started understanding muscle testing and muscle synergy. And I was so enamored with the whole body and really believing that the muscles were the most important thing to take care of.
Right.
And then one day I woke up. I was like 27 years old. I woke up and I was like, wow, my heel hurts me. And then I thought, gee, maybe I stepped on a piece of glass. Like, it wasn't like anything I'd ever felt. I had broken bones. I've sprained my ankle. I know. Do you know what I mean?
I
and
have.
I thought, right. And I was like, what is that? And so it went on and on and on. And months went into more months, went into over a year. I got MRIs and CAT scans and x-rays. And with everything I knew, nothing was solving the pain. And really a friend of mine told me to go see a cranial sacral person, and she worked on my nose, and the next day my foot didn't hurt me. And I said, what system were you working on? And on goes this story where I shifted out of the fitness industry and started understanding how you could help a body restore function through manual tension, compression, or work. And body work was like this brand new idea of like, what is it?
What year was that?
I mean, that was 1997. And
okay, so we were still, it was a little woo-woo.
Well, but that's just it, is osteopathy's been around for forever. And actually, it's not woo-woo. And body work and hands-on touch, everybody knows. Like, if you're sad, if somebody hugs you, I mean, don't you always just innately feel better?
Back in 97,
even
we
then,
weren't as sophisticated.
Well, maybe it's not even sophisticated. I just think that we all do, in America at least, have a belief that if something's wrong with you, you have to take a pill, or you have to have a doctor put something in or take something out or get x-rays or look inside, when really you can actually identify that there are a lot of common imbalances that many of us possess that are left unaddressed from day to day, because we don't know what it is. We don't know what we're going for. And that, again, is what the melt is all about.
Or check it out. Your problem was in your foot, and all the doctors were looking at your foot. When you went to someone who didn't even care about your foot, but rather did cranial sacral work,
right,
all of a sudden, and the reason I was nodding the whole time is I've been in your shoes, that nagging pain in the heel. Now, in my case, we found that I had a heel spur. Turns into wild plantar fasciitis. If you've ever had plantar fasciitis, it can get so out of control you don't want to get up in the morning, because that's when it hurts the worst. I've had ridiculous pain in my feet, Achilles tendons issues, different kinds of issues. But I've had that where it's so bad. You even talked once, you told me the story, you crawled to the bathroom from
I was 27 years old. It was in the middle of the night. For the second time, I was getting up to go to the bathroom.
And you crawled.
And I literally just could not stand on my foot. I crawled to the bathroom, and I went to the bathroom, and I sat there and sobbed and thought to myself, this is as good as it's going to get. My God, this is never. And I was like that for like 2 years, from like 27 to almost 29. And then finally, this whole shift happened, and my understanding of the human body really took a turn. And remember, I already had anatomy, physiology, and neuromuscular therapy, which is really founded on osteopathy. I understood a lot about the body, but my understanding of, to me, what I share is, why connective tissue? What is it? And how does it help your nervous system and your body keep your efficiency in your functionality, make you feel good, keep your body functioning? And so I am, that's what we're going to talk about today, right? Talk about.
Let's just jump right in.
Okay.
All right. So someone has a car accident, God forbid, or something. We understand that kind of chronic pain. Forget about that, where you can point to a reason. What causes unspecified chronic pain? In your book, you do talk about repetitive movements and postures as being a main reason.
Okay. So there's there's two traditional types of pain, right? We have acute pain, which is like a trauma. You get hit by a bus, you hit your hand with a hammer, you cut yourself. You know exactly what had happened. That's an acute trauma. Chronic pain is traditionally considered something that's happened because of a disease. It's a side effect of something.
Okay.
When something is chronic. So if you have diabetes, that's going to cause neuropathy, that's going to give you leg pain. Now you have chronic leg pain, but the diabetes isn't the cause of the leg pain. The diabetes is the cause of the nerve damage, which is what's giving you leg pain, right?
Yeah.
So the way that doctors treat that is to go right to the problem that you have, and they give you things so that you don't sense the nerve messages, but that's not really fixing the problem. It's like if your alarm, your toaster, you put toast in, the toaster's on fire, the alarm goes off, and you walk over to the alarm and take the batteries out. The toaster is still burning, that there's something on fire still. So just taking the alarm out is how people do it.
Right.
So here's the thing. Let me break this down so that we can actually have this conversation. You got all these questions I see, and I want to answer as much as I can for your listeners. So look, this is the idea. You know, we all have experienced pain. It happens for a lot of reasons. But what science is starting to recognize, and we know this in research, is that 100% of the time our brain is what's producing our sense of pain. Right? So the brain produces the sense of pain so that it alerts you that something's not right. It's actually your internal alarm system, just like what I just described on the toaster,
So it's
right?
a blessing. Yeah.
It's a great thing. Pain is, I mean, gosh, if we didn't, some people who don't feel pain, they actually like can cut themselves. They don't feel it. So anyway, let's not get on a tangent. But look, that kind of pain, you know, even though we all experience it, the cool thing about the human body is it does have this propensity to heal. You cut yourself, you heal, right? So the thing that eludes people isn't pain. It's the question of why does pain become chronic? And I always say, even though 100% of the time your brain is sending the message that, hey, or your brain's getting a message saying, danger, danger, something's wrong down here. Your brain puts the process and says, hey, here's a message, something's wrong down there, and alerts us about that. But why is it sometimes that pain doesn't come and go? It actually can stay that aggressive, like an acute trauma, or worse, it comes out of nowhere. Like you didn't even do anything. You did the same down dog, you did the same dance step, you picked up your baby the same way, and your back goes out. So what is it that not only causes pain to become chronic, but what causes what I call in MELT sudden chronic pain? It comes down like acute trauma, but what you did was not a traumatic event. You bent over to pick up a pencil, you twisted just the same way that you usually do in your yoga class, but this time, boom, my back.
Right.
Okay, so that's called sudden chronic pain. And the thing about pain that I try to explain to people is if that's your symptom, you have an issue in your connective tissue. It's not just in your brain. And there's a second problem is people don't know what connective tissue is. So connective tissue is the three-dimensional architectural matrix under your skin. It's like flexible scaffolding, and it's the tissue that's mostly made up of collagen. And we know how much superficially collagen is what keeps your skin lifted. It gives your muscles continuity. But deeper than that, it's what keeps your organs stable. It keeps your blood vessels and your nerves functioning efficiently. It's the environment everything lives in. And what science is starting to realize is just how you said, repetitive postures and movements and all these things that we do
you say in the book,
actually causes something in science, real simple. It's called connective tissue dehydration, cellular dehydration.
Well,
it's a natural cellular process. It's happening to everybody. And listen, even if those listeners out there don't have chronic pain, like Chad said, hey, Sue, I don't have chronic pain. I bet that Chad has what I call pre-pain signals. So if I'm going to point them out. Have you ever sat for long periods of time and when you get up,
yes, of course,
your joints feel a little stiff or achy?
Yes.
And Chad has to sit a lot.
Yeah,
so,
I'm a commuter. I'm on the train.
Right. So, but what happens after you get up and you move around, Chad? What happens?
I feel better.
You feel better, right? And that's why movement is so important, right? Because when we move, we kind of juice up the connective tissue.
Yes.
But if you think of connective tissue like a river, daily living actually starts to cause sediment to accumulate in the river, and where it loves to accumulate is around our joints. And joints are all connective tissue. So for a lot of people, what starts off is what Chad and I are having a conversation about, like you sit for long periods of time, your joints are stiff, but it goes away. All of a sudden, like one joint, like your knee, kind of starts to bug you for no apparent reason. Like you didn't really do anything, but you're kind of noticing this thing. And if you do what most people do and you either ignore it, think it'll go away, take an Advil, whatever, that causes more issues, not only in the connective tissue, your nervous system starts to work harder and harder to keep stability. And now you start getting symptoms that seem completely unrelated, like you don't digest food well, you don't fall asleep, you don't stay asleep, you're getting up in the middle of the night. We're back to our story about me getting up in the middle of the night to go pee. So if your listeners already have those kind of symptoms, they're not sleeping through the night, they have poor digestion, their joints are aching them, the melt method is a simple self-care technique to help people rehydrate the connective tissue and actively partake in juicing up and understanding how the supportive qualities. If you think of connective tissue kind of like a sponge,
yes,
you ever wake up and you feel as dried out as that dried out sponge left out overnight on your kitchen sink? You don't just slap water on a sponge. What do? You got to work the fluid into the sponge.
I want to read some.
That's what melt is about.
Well,
That's what it is.
You list in the book some pre-pain symptoms. Chad, see if this sounds like you. Okay, so does your body feel stiff when you awaken? Do you feel achy when you get out of a chair or after exercise?
There it is.
Do you find yourself adjusting, stretching, cracking, or rubbing your neck or back to relieve tension? Do you experience stiffness or swelling in your hands or feet? Or do you have unexplained achiness or stiffness in multiple areas of your body? Do you feel any? We
just said that. I mean, he said it. You sit for long periods of time.
The worst
You get
is
up, you feel
getting out of an airplane seat.
Oh my God, I know. You like age 50 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't
you start making sound to stand up.
I don't like to sit a lot, and when I do have to sit at my desk,
we are sitting ourselves to death, Tara Marie. Sitting ourselves to death.
Well, actually, I went to your Twitter feed, was it? I went to your Twitter feed and I found the video. I went to your Twitter feed and I found the video. I don't tweet,
but anyway, I'm so not a tweeter.
But I found the video.
Really?
About sitting.
I'm going to put a shout out to Jackie Dygos and our PR team and all of the people who helped to support my social media presence, because I'm too busy trying to save the world.
But you talk about sitting. I'll try to somehow grab that and post it on Facebook.
All right.
You also say that you've observed in clients with chronic pain, like you said, difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, gas, indigestion, regardless of what you eat. Are you exhausted by midday? Do you awaken with anxiety or have mood swings? Do you feel bloated or struggle with your weight? I suspect that list
is like
people. No, I suspect that people do not associate that with chronic pain.
Well, that's just it. Here's the thing. Okay, so a lot of people don't call it chronic pain. They call it like their thing. Like I've literally done a presentation in front of a whole team of soccer players.
Okay.
And I asked them, I said, how many of you guys suffer from chronic pain? And nobody raised their hand. And I was like, I'm obviously asking this question in the wrong way. So I go back, I say, wait, let me ask this again. How many of you guys feel like there's part of your body is just not performing in the way that you want? It's kind of holding you back from achieving your peak performance because like either a joint or your lateral movement doesn't feel like you can really get the push off. Everybody's hand went up. I was like, okay, so you guys don't call it chronic pain. We need to call this something else. So I call it stuck stress. You got stuck stress living in your body.
Okay.
And the thing about stuck stress is it literally makes an athlete feel like they have to work even harder to reach the same goals that like last year actually was easier. And then they start blaming it on aging. And I'm saying, no, it's not aging. It's the issue in your connective tissue. So when connective tissue stays in this cellular dehydration, what starts off as what Chad and I were saying is like you sit for long periods of time. Again, joints start to not feel as stable or strained or right around what people usually call attachments, which they aren't attachments, but anyway, the regions around the joints feel a little tight or compressed in a way where they start saying, I need somebody to rub my neck or rub my back, or they're always constantly adjusting themselves in a chair. And those kind of symptoms are so common to most people that we think that is normal. And I say, no, that's not normal. It's average. Actually, normal in America, most Americans are functioning below normal. Average is actually now below normal. Most people have diabetes. They have cancer.
They're over fat.
They're overweight. They're eating the wrong foods. Well, not wrong foods. They're eating foods that don't have good quality for their cells to really
create
proliferate
inflammation.
And thrive. They look old. They're tired. Their skin is not bright. They don't have energy. And that's the thing that you kind of started the whole session with was, when you don't feel good, whatever you call it, on an emotional level, it really affects our emotional states. And we start getting either really grumpy and we get really mean, or we get very recluse, or some people actually get kind of high and risey. And I see that in, my whole world is like that because I have an intimate relationship with people who have emotional highs and lows, who have structural anomalies, my clients, my family members, I see it all around me. So really that's my intimate understanding of what I can share with people is how to identify these common imbalances and stuck stress before it becomes
chronic pain.
Before it actually causes you a problem. And the thing is, we in America think we're so proactive because we eat right, we exercise, we go to the gym, we do our kickboxing.
Right, but we're not paying attention.
Jump up and down. It's not about paying attention. We actually don't know that those things can also contribute to more stuck stress because they don't address the cause of what tends to cause the dehydration or the stiffening, the unnecessary stiffening, compression, tension in the body, where the body mismanages its compression and works almost against itself to keep you upright. It starts, your body can't pull itself up. Instead, it slows your metabolism down. And then you start feeling tired. And then again, either you get emotionally kind of low or you can't think straight, you have a cloudy mind. And once you start having those types of symptoms, you're really down a path where your body has to work harder and harder just to function efficiently. So again, to go back...
And then it turns into like a chronic backache? Is that
No, it just anything. Again, like if I go back to the athlete, like an athlete will actually do the exact same drills, they'll practice the same way, and instead of getting better, because that's what practice does, right? It should make you better. As you keep training, you should get better. But a lot of athletes, they train, and they actually get injured. And so it's like, what is the thing that all of a sudden, and in today's day and age, I mean, think about the athletic performance of today's athlete compared to even 25, 30 years ago.
Look at the Olympics.
Look at the Olympics. Look at the tennis pros. Look at the baseball players.
It's ridiculous.
Look at the basketball players. I mean, it is incredible what they do. But the injuries, and they pay a price now because it's so much more aggressive. And our bodies genetically can't quite keep up to how technology is allowing us to learn how to move and manipulate our bodies so that we do go faster, and how to get skis shaped just the right way to increase our velocity as we go down a hill. It's not the athlete, it's the machine that they're skiing on that's even helping the advantage, right? So there's all of these amazing contributions of technology that we have in our hands. Are we going to use it wisely enough where it doesn't cause detriment to our body? And again, we're also raising a good generation of people who are sitting more and more.
Oh, God.
And then those people think that getting up for an hour and going for a run is going to erase their tension and stress here. But those are also my clients, and those are the guys that blow their back out because they sit all day long and they have a high-stress job, and they got kids at home and a girlfriend or, boyfriend or whatever, and they got dogs, and they got to go, and they're always up. And then, you know what? They decide they got to go take a CrossFit class to kind of blow off some tension. And you know what they do? They blow out their back.
Well, you know what you're making
because they're not warmed up. They're not prepared.
You know what you're making me think of? I'm in the gym a lot. You always see the sweet little old man, with a dowager's hump, and the trainer, well-meaning, has this man with a dowager's hump, forward neck carriage, doing overhead presses with dumbbells. That speaks to what you said. The very things we're trying to do to help ourselves are driving us further into a hole.
Well, and I was definitely one of those people when I was younger. I really believed because again, I was a muscle geek, right? I believe that if you pushed as much as you pulled, and you pushed up as much as you pulled down, and you kind of like did pyramid training, you kind of started light and then more heavy, and you just keep growing, that's going to make you more upright. And you know what it did? It made me a stronger, more dysfunctional body than I started.
Yeah.
And I didn't. You
were stronger. Yeah.
I was stronger. I mean, look, I started lifting weights when I was like 12. I had like one of those, Mr. Miyagi moments where I saw these guys doing leg presses, and I'm sitting behind like a bench press chair, and this huge dude comes over and he goes, "What do you think of that?" And I was like, "He's the strongest man I've ever seen." He goes, "Wait till you see me do it."
Yeah.
And he walks over to that bench and he puts on another 45-pound plate and he does his 1 rep max and everybody cheers for him and he walks over.
What gym was that? What gym were you going to?
It was in Albany, New York.
Okay,
it was in
hardcore.
Latham, and it was like, I think it was called maybe the Colony Athletic Club.
But it was a hardcore.
It had like a real gymnastic area and an aerobics studio, but they had this amazing weight training gym, and these guys were huge. And so he showed me, he goes, "Do you want to be big and strong like me?" And I said, like more than anything in the world. And because I was a bullied kid and my dad wasn't so nice to me, so I think I was thinking I was going to gain power doing that. And I did. I learned how to do pull-ups and push-ups. And so I went from being kind of a chubby kid. And then the next couple of years, man, I went back to high school and I was like a beast. Like nobody really, I mean, people wanted to beat me up, but at that point I could stand up for myself physically. And so it became more mental warfare with other girls.
But like you said, all you were getting stronger, but you were just making your
all of my
dysfunction
woes
stronger
emotionally.
Now,
my emotional scars.
Explain something. Explain to people, because everybody's going to hear dehydrated connective tissue. They're going to say, "Well, I drink plenty of water."
Yes.
Chad, is that what Chad?
Look, just like a dried out sponge doesn't absorb water as well as a white moist one.
Okay, but explain, Sue, why drinking enough water does not fix the problem. I mean, it's part of the solution, but drinking enough water is not going to fix the problem.
It's not the volume. It's first of all, it's consistency. Okay, so let's just do two things really simple. Let's give a good visual. Just like a dried out sponge does not absorb water as well as a moist one, right? If you take a dried out sponge, you pour water on it, it just goes right over the edge.
Correct.
But if you have a moist one and you put water, it absorbs. So the thing is, most people are sitting around with their tissue in such a state that drinking more water isn't the answer. It actually just makes you pee more. What we understand about connective tissue is that because it's mostly a protein-based tissue, the cells are actually very reactive and responsive to two things, tension and compression. And we know that those two types of things occur with normal lifestyle. And if you compress or pull on this tissue, it has an elastic property and it's supposed to provide us movement and adaptation on a cellular level, micro, and on a structural level, macro, right?
Yeah.
So this tissue provides all sorts of roles. It's helping us with so many things, nutrient transportation and postural systeming. So, to go to the macro view, that idea that connective tissue, if you sit for long periods of time, what are you doing to the back of your legs? You're compressing it for long periods of time. And if you sit in that slouch posture that most people sit in, you're also causing tension on the back line with your head carriage forward. And so what happens is like a rubber band, if you keep a rubber band pulled for a long time, what happens? It loses its elastic property. Yeah. And also if you squash like a shirt, it kind of gets crimped and wrinkled. So that's kind of the same sort of thing that happens with connective tissue, only connective tissue is kind of like a crimp, and as we age, it gets flat, literally in a microscope, right? So it has a crimp phase, and so when it becomes dehydrated, just like a sponge, it kind of flattens out a little bit.
Okay.
And these little spaces that look like bubbles lose their elastic squishiness. And so what we do in Melt is we learn how to create this gentle tension and compression using soft balls and rollers.
Yeah. I want to just show the roller to the Facebook Live community.
Right. So everybody knows what a foam roller is, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a foam roller, only it's soft, right?
Yeah.
If I grab it like this, I can actually
and
bend this.
And it's a 5-inch
No. Yeah, it's a 5-inch round. So most of them are about 6 inches, and most rollers are hard, and they're made for a technique called self-myofascial release. It's a heavy compression technique. Everybody knows how to do it. You kind of iron yourself like a shirt, find a lumpy area, an area that's tender, and you kind of dig on it, and you breathe on it, and you wiggle it around, and it's like you're trying to like annihilate a bomb.
But look how soft this is.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thing is, this is actually made of a type of material that has a little more rubber than most. So it actually has a spongy quality, and it actually increases a little in temperature as you work on it. So it has a nice tendency for compression.
So this is one of your newer products. This is the travel size.
Yeah,
correct?
this is the travel roller. It's Mill Performance. So I also do the home neurological treatment.
But you have the longer ones too.
The longer one, right? You can do the rebalance. You can also put these two side by side, and you can also do the rebalance.
So this is really cool. She gave this to me as a gift. This is something that I can totally picture throwing this in a suitcase, like you said.
I actually attach it to the outside of mine, like your water bottle. I just carry it around the outside, and I use it. Yeah, if you have back pain, you put it under your feet on an airplane. I use it to kind of like I wrap it around like this, and I sleep with it. you know,
but
if
again,
I'm not flying first class,
but-
which I try to now.
But you also make the longer ones. I'm just this is the travel size.
I have a number of different products, but even if you don't have the melt products, you can still learn how to do some of the easy compression techniques. And you know, the whole idea of melt is it's not only a method. I've also developed a platform to really share and educate what I've learned about how to apply this positive tension and compression without causing pain. So again, like a hard roller, as you start to compress and you go over these bony areas, you know, like your neck, your low back. The thing is, the question is, why are you doing that? And people say, oh, it's to get the kinks out, the knots out. And I'm like, actually, the tension and compression isn't really caused by your muscle. It's a misnomer. It's the connective tissue. And so fascia, I've been a founding member of the Fascial Research Society. I understand connective tissue as a three-dimensional
Can I just ask you to define for them? So when you're saying fascia, can I explain to them?
Fascia is a scientific term for connective tissue. Not all connective tissue is fascia, but all fascia is connective tissue. And it is this collagen-based matrix under your skin. And what's phenomenal about the human body is from skin to bone, head to toe, it's a three-dimensional, completely seamless system, like a three-dimensional grid, literally like the matrix, right? So the collagen is actually a filament. It's a fibril. And it can actually superimpose, and collagen has the ability to move and adapt and never break or tear if the tissue is hydrated and if these, what they're called multi-microvascular spaces, can move and adapt. But the thing is, water is what allows collagen to have its triple helix and its strength. And so because of daily living and the tension and compression and all the stuff we do in our daily lives.
And the repetitive
and
postures.
The repetitive habits and postures. It doesn't matter if your repetition is swinging a golf club or practicing a down dog or sitting at a desk all day long.
Sitting and typing,
Whatever it is that you do the most in the day will impact your structural form the most. It's just function begets movement, movement begets function, structure begets function. It's all symbiotic. You know, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Who gives a crap? Like, it's just the end result that you're worried about. So the thing about connective tissue is, if you don't think about this one layer that's gotten enamored, like, again, connective tissue as a system is its own three-dimensional architecture. I've been talking about this stuff for decades, and before me, there are so many amazing teachers that have shared with me their work. I have learned from them. Everyone from Ida Rolf on out to all the most recent researchers, Tom Finley, the entire organization of the fascial research community, the scientists, the researchers. I have been so privileged to be a part of that founding member and to gain access to all of the science and research and to collaborate with them and to learn from them. And they're so giving and they've been so generous to me that, and again, I've taken that science and implemented it into this technique.
Okay, explain to them, because this is quite fascinating. Back in the day, when they would do anatomy dissections, they thought of connective tissue as just waste. Explain that to people.
They would, it was
packing
like packing material. And that's it. It provided cushion and support. So it's kind of like you do a dissection and you take off that superficial fascia and you just kind of feel like superficial fascia and your skin are one. So if you grab onto your skin on the back of your forearm and you pull it up and then you let it go, it should spring back, right? And so some people have low-grade inflammation. I don't know if you can see like how nice and like light and loose my connective tissue is, because I do these kind of things. So my skin has nice integrity. I can make it toned if I want to, but I can also soften it and give it a lot of pull and elastic properties. So that's kind of what keeps your wrinkles from like getting the best of you, because we're all going to age, we're all going to get wrinkles. I know exactly. So embrace it, baby. Anyway, you can be like the Kardashians and go ahead and like, you know, inject a whole bunch of things too. But you know what? Fillers are going to be the way of the world. And there is a time and a place, and some people have gotten some phenomenal facial work, and it's great, but we've also seen the ones gone wrong. I've seen so many of the ones gone wrong. It's such a shame.
Keep your collagen matrix healthy.
That's it. So let's go back to this whole idea. So connective tissue we know as a three-dimensional structure. What fitness is really enamored with is a particular layer called the myofascial layer. So if you've ever heard of the word myofascia, you're talking about the muscle layer. Okay, so the muscles in anatomy, we like to cut them up and call them things. We like to say that the bicep makes the elbow bend and the hand goes closer to the shoulder, and when the deltoid contracts, the arm moves up overhead anteriorly. You know, like, so there's this anatomical jargon over muscles when they contract and shorten or lengthen. This is what happens. So that's all true. But we also have models called myofascia. Instead of thinking of the parts, how do they interconnect? And there are myofascial meridians, and there are connecting lines and functional lines of movement. And somebody that popularized that the most was Tom Myers with anatomy trains. And this is somebody who learned right from Ida Rolf and that instructional integration.
When you say Ida Rolf, are we talking Rolfing?
Rolfing,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
So manual therapy, and he's just one of the most exquisite educators in this hands-on way to look at the body as a system, and then they have this protocol of overall treatment. And those are also like the founding things that I also do talk about are these myofascial lines. However, the thing that people need to realize is connective tissue from skin to bone is actually the supportive infrastructure of every cell of your body. So it's also the system that transports nutrients. It's what keeps our immune system functioning efficiently. It plays a role in our endocrine levels, in our mental states. Connective tissue really is the environment that everything lives in. And so neurological health, brain health, the brain relies on connective tissue as well, because the brain is invested in connective tissue.
That's why you ask, are you moody? Do you have anxiety?
But again, because the nervous system can only slow us down and alter our metabolism, connective tissue can actually have an impact on our nervous system, where the nervous system reacts in a way that's kind of working against itself. Our metabolism slows down. We suddenly aren't producing the right enzymes. Our neurotransmitters start to break down. We start to get hormonal imbalances. We have sleep problems. We have digestive problems. We're cranky. We're moody.
And that's all because it's dehydrated?
Yes. So again, what is the source? And one of the sources of many issues of pain is connective tissue. The nervous
dehydrated
system,
connective.
right. So the nervous system has actually reacted to an issue in the body in a way where the unfortunate event is that the messages get so discombobulated that the brain almost works against the body's healing, and it actually works against it, where it starts to send particular cells that actually cause inflammation but there's really nothing wrong there. So that's where the miscommunication can occur in our neurofascial system. And again, the whole message and what you met when you met me in 2008, and I was formulating this whole program, what started out as me just trying to help people became the simplified language, and I just knew that I couldn't talk about fibroblasts and glycoaminoglycans, that I had to create a method. Right. So, I got my team together, and together, I was able to harness the things in my mind and to develop it in a way where I could express this to the general public and get people to learn how to actually actively partake in learning what stuck stress feels like before it becomes pain, to understand how to treat and care for a system that no diet or exercise really support 100%. Because look, if eating right and exercising kept you pain-free, then everybody who ate right and exercised, it's a dirty little secret of fitness, Tara Marie, and I know this from being in the fitness industry since like we were born. Everybody in the fitness industry is in pain. Most of the fitness professionals suffer from some sort of a chronic ache or issue.
I had it.
Joint pain, knee pain, back pain. Listen, I've been doing this for a long time. I have never heard of somebody getting a hamstring replacement, but do you know what I have heard a lot of people getting a replacement of? A hip or a knee.
Oh, yeah.
In younger and younger. And that is because around every single joint is it's 100% connective tissue. It's not the muscle.
Lara Spencer.
I feel like I'm getting crazy. I'm so passionate about
honey,
this. Let me help you.
Lara Spencer, Good Morning America, had a hip replacement.
Oh, yeah.
You did good GMA. She didn't
So
tell
many
you?
people.
Did she tell you? She told you, no?
My dear, some of the top fitness pros, the smartest people in education of wellness and fitness have joint replacements. More than you know. If you don't know, you could probably find out that information. I don't need to tell you who they are. You can go find them. But listen, getting a joint replaced is actually so common because the wear and tear, and what we also know is that we used to believe that all joints were going to break down as we got older because of just straight up aging. But actually, tension and compression and connective tissue can actually alter the chemical components around the knee because of those substrates that are in connective tissue. And it starts to cause this irritation. And again, they call it a cytokine response, where suddenly your body is making pro-inflammatory hormones. But if you're making them to support the knee, it can also alter your digestive system, and those neurotransmitters can then start sending messages to the brain. And again, it just creates brain-body confusion. I can help you with this. Everybody should melt.
And I
That's
do.
why I'm here.
I also want to.
I'm on a mission.
I want to mention to everybody in a minute what I do religiously, because there's a technique that I do.
Melt is not
quite
a religion,
religiously.
by the way. It's not a religion.
But I do it 5 days out of 7.
It's not a religion.
5 days out of 7. Listen, what if somebody says, so just answer this quickly.
Tell me.
So somebody says, how is melt different from more effective than the myofascial release technique or massage? Can you?
I guess everything can help a body.
Okay.
The thing about melt is really the understanding of connective tissue as a system. And my experience of how to express and explain this is a more gentle approach. It is more serviceable to the general public, to real normal people, rather than just people who are already in the fitness industry and I know everything because I'm an aerobic instructor. Because there's a lot of that ego in that industry where it's like everybody thinks that they know everything, and all the YouTube trainers that are out there. And I don't mean to dismiss or be mean to anybody, but being in the industry for 25 plus years, I've seen the greatest of the greats, and it is like this transition of us all learning from the ability for us to reach more people because of the internet and that kind of connection. But yeah, I just think that we need to know more about what is it that causes these problems. Self-myofascial release, if you're going to do those kind of things, heavy compression, force, and all of these things, the question is, why are you doing it and where are you getting that education?
Okay.
So if you're trained in that and you're a person that does that, I think these are great. Melt is more a preface for those things. So if you like doing things like foam rolling or using more focal things like balls, I use all different types of balls, large balls, soft balls, heavier balls that actually have firmness to them. I'm the ball queen. But the thing is, I know when and how much pressure to apply in what direction, so that I don't actually accidentally compress a nerve or hurt myself, because again, people sometimes think that they can do anything to their body and it'll be good. But I've worked on people who have stuck a ball in the wrong place and got their ureter trapped underneath their hip flexor, right?
Well, the thing, because I see people.
I feel like I've gone on that tangent. But listen, let me answer that question. So myofascial release, if you like doing heavy compression, or you are the blessed person who actually has a massage therapist, melt can prepare your body for doing those things. And for those of us who actually get a massage, I love massages. If I melt before, I tell you 2 things happen. Her pressure does not hurt me as much as if I don't melt before.
Okay. Oh, because your nervous system is calmer.
Yes, and I'm more centered, and my body's more prepared for that pressure. And then afterwards, I melt over those next subsequent days, and I hold the changes that she does for me so much longer.
Okay.
And I get more out of that. Everybody says, oh, you got to get a massage every day if it's ever going to do anything. And I said, no, actually, if you get a massage and then you work on yourself, you can actually push it out. And because you can't replace hands-on body work. It's such a phenomenal thing. And using heavy, hard rollers and tools and objects really does have a time and a place. It's not a bad thing to do.
But
the question is the education of why you're doing it. And again, I deal with people with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, MS, Parkinson's disease, as much as I work with pro athletes and coaches and, fitness pros and healthy, active people. So I work on kids, so I span this gamut of understanding that it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter your age, your fitness level, it doesn't matter. Everybody's connective tissue becomes cellularly dehydrated every single day. It is a natural cellular process happening to every single person every single day, Tara Marie. Every single person it's happening to.
Even children.
Yes, if you sit for long periods of time and you get up and your joints feel a little stiff or achy, or you get up in the morning and your feet are a little stiff on the floor, those are pre-pain symptoms. Those are just signals showing cellular dehydration. You can feel it. We've all experienced it. The thing is, we just assume it's normal because when you get up and you move around, it goes away until it doesn't. And then you're upset because your hip, your knee, your back, your neck start to bother you more often. And if you do what most people do and you take a pill or you ignore it, it's only going to get worse. Or if you think that you're going to exercise your way out of it, that doesn't work either. Just changing your diet also doesn't work.
Right.
Ask people in pain, even when they lose weight, sometimes they still have chronic pain.
Yeah.
Connective tissue you can actually treat as an entire global system. It just takes a more gentle approach than self-myofascial release techniques. Those heavier compression forces have a time and a place, but for people in pain, don't cause pain to get out of it. And the thing that most people do when they hurt is like somebody says, oh, my neck hurts. What do you want somebody to do? They want to take a ball and dig in that spot. But here's the thing. If a kid ran up to you crying out for your help, it was really trying to get your attention, you wouldn't punch them in the face. You would try to figure out what the problem was. And that's not the way that we treat our bodies. Instead, we beat our bodies up for giving us a signal that something's not right. And MELT takes a different approach. It says, how about we learn how to sense what those signals are trying to tell us, identify what stuck stress is before it's pain, treat the body, feel it change into a better state of being, and then go off into your daily life and see if your body doesn't already feel better. So we get people who not only have, like, again, what you call chronic pain, like joint pain, but also people who have emotional trauma, people who have post-traumatic stress disorder we've worked with. We've worked with wounded warriors. We've worked with cancer patients. We've worked with so many different type of people who are really, whatever you want to call that, post-traumatic stress disorder, is that pain? Well, is it,
it's
or
stuck in the body?
It's stuck in the body. So, the thing about stuck stress is I'm not just talking about muscle aches and pains. I'm talking about just not feeling your best. And something in your body is just calling itself out to you. And this gives you the opportunity to go in, sense what you feel, gently compress and do these really subtle techniques and feel change. And the really amazing thing is with the 4 R's, when you do start feeling change, you really can start to build a self-care practice and do this every day. It's a great thing. Our instructors are amazing, by the way. There's thousands of them out there. Go find one. And if you don't want to do it on your own, there are people there to help you too.
Right. But I want to get to the 4 R's of MELT. And I also want to say this because you mentioned this, and it's worth saying to you, and you're aware of this, I'm sometimes horrified by what I see at the gym. People just taking a roller and just on their bodies. I don't know if they don't know what they're doing, but they're just going.
But if it feels good to them, what do you care?
Because it's like you said, you've had people with their ureter pushed up under.
But that's just it. Is you can do whatever you want to do to yourself. Touch yourself however you want, right? We're so oppressed to touch ourselves. I say in my class, people while they're doing the foot treatment always put their hands on their hips, and I say, no, stop touching yourself. You can touch yourself later, just not right now. Touch, sensation, feeling. That's how we take in information. Moreover than just visual and tactile and learning, we actually by sensing inside of our bodies, breathing, learning a little bit more about what goes on our bodies, becoming body conscious can actually help our nervous system function more efficiently. In this day and age, we're so out of our body. We're texting all the time. Okay, you and I live in New York City. How many times do you cross the street and see somebody walking across the street looking at their phone, even if it is a green light? For just those few seconds, look up at your environment. But no, we are living in a world that's getting more visually closed off. Our listening skills, our visual skills are changing. We're looking at screens more often. The eye changes that we're seeing, all of the orbital changes. People who want to be optometrists, you guys are going to make a lot of money. That's a good job to be in because more and more people are going to have eye issues.
From all the screen
because
time.
of all the screening. Of course, they already do. And neck pain is on the rise. With all of the great things that have happened since 1950, all the technology, all this modern stuff, medicine has changed. We're actually sicker more. We have more diseases.
We're sicker, we're fatter.
You know what I mean? What is going on here? And again, I really do understand because my body, in my 20s, look, I know I'm going to age. I just want to do it later in life. But at 47, I feel great. I have a wonderful relationship. My husband is like, thank God for Chris. Thank God for Chris. Thank you, my love. I spend time with...
Is he watching?
I'm sure. And, I just deal with the most amazing people. I feel like we have the MELT tribe. And so, again, becoming a part of MELT in general and learning about this is really becoming a part of this incredible network. The like-minded people and the conversations that I get to hear and have are really pretty colossal. I really do. I'm so privileged to every day be able to learn something new and speak to just the most dynamic,
Well, you get
brilliant people in this
and also
industry. It's a real privilege.
you get a lot of
privilege
I
to be
saw
me.
something, it was on the Facebook page. You get a lot of great feedback, and again, the book
We do.
I want to talk about the 4 R's of
Okay.
melt: reconnect, rebalance, rehydrate, and release. Those are that's the premise upon which the whole system is.
That's the foundation piece of melt. And then the next book that's going to come out next year at this time is the 2 other R's, reintegrate and repattern, which actually are more in your wheelhouse of structural, exercise and things of movement behavior and things like that. So more motor patterning. But melt in the 4 R's. Okay, so reconnect, rebalance, rehydrate, and release. Good news about connective tissue issues. You can actually learn to identify where stuck stress is living in your body before it comes pain. That's part of what reconnect is all about. Learning how to use what I call body sense to sense what's going on in the connective tissue, and with what I call the living body model, which is my simplified way of explaining neurofascial science to the general population. So instead of talking about glycoaminoglycans and neurofascial and all this, I talk about the autopilot, I talk about body sense, I talk about tensional energy, masses and spaces. I simplify things down into this really simple language with these elements, and again, the 4 R's, to explain complex science so that the general public can learn and follow.
It's remarkably, let me say this, it's remarkably the way you explain it, because when you were training all of us, you obviously had to present the science, but then you trained us to help other people.
That's it. So I've taken the science and I've simplified it down into not only a method but a technique. So reconnect techniques are a way for people to assess
reconnect with themselves.
Reconnect with themselves, learn where stuck stress is living in their body. And what I've learned to do is, and what my teachers do with amazing precision, is talk people through what we call the rest assess and standing assessments to learn to identify these very simple common imbalances that many people possess that are left unaddressed from day to day. And so we really hone into the most common imbalances, but we also give people lots of things to feel as opposed to what's ideal so that they can begin to tune into what's going on. But the reconnect techniques also help an aspect of our nervous system. I call it your autopilot. It's the parts of the nervous system that house your autonomic responsiveness, your breathing, breathing and your stress reflex, your body's ability to cellularly repair, your gut system, all the parts of your body that support, protect, and stabilize you without your voluntary control or awareness. That's what I call your autopilot. It's the thing when you're most of the time, texting and not thinking about breathing, that's your autopilot doing everything else except whatever it is you're doing in that moment. So reconnect techniques also give the autopilot time to adapt and understand where you are, and then in the reassessments, it helps the nervous system reset to a new place. And the more often you do it and you really instill the melt practice, that's actually one of the secrets of the techniques, is that the assessment is it really is the most important part of it, because awareness with the nervous system is actually how you alter the pain response in chronic pain. So it really has to come back to that, trip over the switch of your conscious awareness and your autopilot and suddenly create a quick relationship with those parts of your body. And it is amazing how your body and pain starts to decrease. And so we've helped hundreds of thousands of people kind of decrease this sense of pain, but not by just quelling a symptom, but by actually treating one of the causes of why the brain is signaling it in the first place.
So chilling down the brain.
It is. And so neurofascia is about changing heart rate variability and slowing the mind down a little bit and tuning in. And so reconnect techniques are really the baseline of it. Then the second R of melt is rebalance. And there is, in the Melt Method book, there is this 10-minute treatment I call the rebalance sequence. And it's a way to help your autopilot reacquire its connection to your center of gravity so that when you standing is more efficient. When your brain, this is a part of the living body model, your masses and spaces, what's your autopilot trying to balance when you stand up? Your big head, your big ribs, and your pelvis over those puny little feet. If God were nicer, it would have made a heel that was much longer so that we could lean back. You know,
Right.
so we got the little kind of heel. So again, how your autopilot is kind of balancing your masses over your spaces is what rebalancing is there to help out with, is to help the autopilot reconnect and rebalance the stabilizing mechanisms so that your deep abdomen and your central core system, whatever you want to call that, and your pelvis all have more integrity and stability. The third R is rehydrate. And so through gentle tension and compression
This is what
techniques,
feels good.
Right. So this is the stuff that looks more familiar. It's kind of like when people look at neurostrength and they say it's like exercise. I said visually it looks like foam rolling
It
and
feels
stretching.
good. Yeah, it feels good.
But we're not in the muscle system when we do the work. We're in the neurofascial system. So the compression techniques called gliding, shearing, and rinsing are more gentle compression techniques. Gliding are preparatory and exploratory kind of pressured techniques. Shearing is more of a compression and twist. If you want to try to shear your tissue right now, this is an easy way for people to do it. If you interlace your palms together so that your thumb pads compress, and you kind of just create a little gentle compression, and then you rub your hand up and down, what I want you to quickly get is that your skin and your superficial fascia are actually rubbing against your bone.
Right.
Your skin isn't rubbing together. You see the difference? If I rub my skin together, it looks like this.
Okay.
But if I rub and I shear, it looks like that. So you guys who are listening, what the this and the that is when if you keep your hands really light and you rub your skin together, that's one thing. But under the skin, if you compress the thumbs and then you pull it, you're actually pulling tissue. Feel this, Tara. No. Let me do it to you. So this,
yeah.
Right. So here I'm rubbing my thumb against your skin. Here I'm rubbing your superficial fascia over your deep fascia.
Over the butt, and it feels good.
It feels different, right?
Yeah.
So that's a shear force. So shearing is how you create compression, kind of like working compression into a sponge, and you tack the tissue, you stack it, and then you kind of create this shear type of force. And you can do that indirectly or directly. That's what you learn in melt. And then you wait. That's kind of like working fluid into a sponge. You compress and you wait, and then you rinse in one direction. And so those are the compression techniques. Two-directional lengthening techniques are different than stretching. And when we stretch, we kind of go through these big end range movements. And with fascia, when you pull on it, it feels different than a muscular stretch. Most of the time when we feel a muscle stretch, it's kind of very belly oriented and things. But when you get more into fascia, it's more long and kind of pliable. It almost feels a little more superficial.
You
more
know it
fuzzy.
when you feel it.
Exactly. It's kind of one of those hard things to describe. Lengthening techniques are really take some je ne sais quoi. They're a little more refined, and they're also great assessment techniques. And then the last R is release. And release is about decompressing the neck, the low back, the hands, the feet, the joints that bear the most weight and compression and tension in our spine, our hands and feet. So the release techniques really offer up a little bit of a decompression, if you will, to just allow joints to have a little elastic property so that when you let them go, they sort of have a little bit more of that resilience and that elastic property that our joints need so much so that they stay cushioned and absorbent and they have good shock absorption.
Now, explain, because I think this is interesting. People know this, but I don't think this is something that people are going to go, yeah, duh. But when you hear it like this, I think it's interesting. Explain your and science's definition of ideal alignment, because what I'm speaking to is I know you do this too. I think. Well, I do it. Maybe it's a little weird of it, but when I'm just like standing on the subway and I have nothing,
You're just staring at people.
Nothing. I look at people's posture. I find it interesting.
Don't tell people,
Chad, is that weird or?
It's a little weird.
I find it interesting. You know what I like?
It's a bit bizarre.
I stare at people all the time when I'm running, and they look
yeah.
like their legs are spinning around. I always want to give them a card and be like, "Here's my card."
I like to look at people's posture. I find it fascinating.
Sure, because you're one of those people.
What I like to do is I like to look at their posture from different directions and then guess if I spoke to them where they would say they have an ache or pain. Like you'll see someone with a forward head carriage, or you'll see someone with an extreme
what do you want to know
sway
about
back.
ideal alignment?
So you talk about in the book how you define it.
So the thing is, ideal alignment is an idea that science defined many years ago to try to explain the best position for all of your joints. The thing is, when they developed that model, the keystone, the SI joint, was considered a 0-degree range.
SI, sacroiliac.
Sacroiliac joint, right? So it's the keystone that holds your pelvic bones together. And in the earlier literature that actually defined ideal alignment, that was a 0-degree range joint. But we actually know now that that thing is an axis axis of rotation. It does actually have movement. It just doesn't move like other joints.
The
SI
sacroiliac joint
has kind of an axis type of a movement, so it has kind of this elastic property. And sometimes those ligaments inside can kind of get a little defunct, but more often than not, it does it in a particular way. So not to get technical about these things, but my point is that ideal alignment is an idea of science. It has mathematical constraints. I have never, in all of the history of working on people, I don't have ideal alignment. I'm sure you don't. I have never met a human being that has ideal alignment. I don't even really know what it is anymore. What I do know is there's a functional motion that can be most ideal. And if you watch somebody not stand but take a walk, you can really see a lot of patterning that occurs. And so patterning is, what I teach also in the neurostrength and in male performance is reintegrate and repattern. Reintegration neurologically, when we are athletes or we do things repetitively, our bodies, again, can't like adjust us back to the ideal place. Instead, what it does is it compensates to keep us in that place and reserve as much energy so that we do that really well. So if we sit for long periods of time, our body's going to morph and adapt so that we sit really well. But you want to get up and run once every couple of days or once a week, that's actually not a good idea because your body's really not ready for that 1 hour of combat.
Okay.
It's really good at sitting down, right? So these sort of changes that the body takes is what we want to, I guess, identify and then reintegrate neurological timing so that we take the compensation out because, again, we become very good compensating machines. Athletes are the best compensators.
Like, for instance, someone who, like a golf, someone who plays golf.
It's like if you play golf and you swing a bat all the time, fascially, the tissue actually is probably going to pattern itself to kind of have a rotation. But the thing is, if you don't kind of keep it, the elastic property, and all you do is rotate, when you're not doing golf, you never really go back to the ideal shape.
Okay.
And that can be bad for your golf game over time. All of a sudden, you look like you're swinging early, but it's that the fascia has inhibited muscles to contract like they used to. And now you have to push a little harder. And so your hip starts to bug you.
Right.
And then you get plantar fasciitis. So all of those things, again, I want people to learn how to catch the pre-pain signals before that whole story that I just told you from beginning to end actually occurs. And the way to do that is to, again, melt. You want to restore neurological function actually by going after the environment first. And then you reintegrate these really subtle patterns to stabilize your shoulder and your hip, and then you repattern. So again, we go back to this idea of ideal alignment. When you have a pattern and a movement that you do repetitively, whether it's sitting or standing, that pattern can kind of make an imprint into your form so that when you do other things like walking, it's actually noticeable for those of us who have the keen eye and have been doing this a long time. That's what structural integration do.
Right.
And most body workers will look at you and make you walk. And that's how we learn about you. And then we ask you questions. And some of us are extremely intuitive. And instead of being like, I get in trouble for this, somebody says, oh, you have a short hamstring. And I'm like, did you have your ovary removed? And they're like, yes. And I was like, an appendix removal too?
Oh, that
Yes.
will affect
oh, yes.
a hammy?
And so that I will actually see as being primary, not the hamstring. Those are the kind of Jedi things that
I can't do
myself
that,
and,
yeah.
and quite a few of my amazing body workers. Big shout out to Jackie Levitt out in California for being an amazing body worker. I deal with so many incredible
in other words,
hands-on body workers that have these gifts. So
so
it's wonderful.
what I hear
I'm
you
not the only
saying
one.
is
I'm not like I'm a crazy person.
a body anomaly, like you go, oh, did you have such and such surgery, or did you have such? That's what I hear you. Oh, that's interesting.
So anything can cause your body to change, like internally.
Wow.
Scars, we all know scars. Scars, it's a beautiful thing what a scar can do, right? But a scar never really repairs perfectly the skin that it was. Like there's always a little
Beneath
remnant. Even on the top, that little tiny remnant that you have, the underlying plane is even more changed that you don't see. Like in a cadaver, sometimes, we see somebody who's had a gallbladder removed, and that's a very small incision, couple
Correct,
of
yeah.
small things on the skin. But underneath, the superficial fascia actually is more white instead of clear and slick. It kind of has a little bit more of a cobweb instead of a spider's web look to it. And then the deeper that you go, that cobweb look is actually attaching and adhering to things that really should have sliding surfaces, like your lungs or your liver, and it can adapt. And
so that
keep
can
growing.
turn into back pain in 10 years.
It can, and so
Yeah.
I've dealt with a lot of people who, like, we've talked about this on a different talk show. To one time we talked about women who had cesareans, and
I know women who've had 4.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And you get cut, and traditionally traditionally, I mean, like old cesareans weren't so great because they would actually stitch it all up as one layer. Now, more finesse, they actually realize if they stitch one layer and then the next, they see the uterus becomes one thing, one layer, and then and so looser, but then the top ones are the good sutures. They have less scar tissue to deal with, and those things absorb. And if you get body work, it causes less problems. But I've dealt with a lot of people who have cesareans and then like 10, 15, 20 years later have severe back pain, and the fascia is just a conglomerate of goo living in their pelvis. That's what I deal with. That's what I know about, and that's what I help people with. That's why I am who I am, and that's why I've got a book.
The book. I know a lady who had a tummy tuck. When you get a tummy tuck, you get a cut from one hip, one... Sure. When you get a tummy tuck, Chad, I don't know if you know this, but I saw her scar. Yeah. When you get a tummy tuck, you have a cut from one hip bone to the other hip bone.
But a tummy tuck compared to taking a baby out of your body is, the tummy tucks are just the superficial fascia. So actually, if you have a great surgeon, your remnants of that can be easily manually done just by always remembering that the scars
massaging
and just
the scar.
touch yourself, people. It's a good thing to touch yourself.
Massage
it's a
those
good thing
scars.
to touch. Massage in general, touch or have somebody touch you. Massage your scars, because it's kind of like scars have an on button with no off button. Those little cells like to kind of get woven into each other, and we produce significantly more scar tissue than we really need. And that's how scar tissues over time, it is like sediment in a river, and it can start to pull itself back to other areas. Those are the ones that I get most concerned of, but actually you can make the miracles with. Like I've literally had people come to see me with a cesarean and had back pain.
Yeah.
I worked on them one time and they're like, she's a healer. I'm healed. My back pain is gone. I love her.
And it was from the
C-section. You know what? Like you get lucky with those kind of people. I mean, I get lucky a lot. I definitely am very blessed. Like I have a lot of good testimonials of clients who have had severe pain, and these amazing like three sessions and they're healed. But the thing is, my track record is really, doesn't matter if I have to see you 3 times or 30 times, your healing process has sustained far longer than even our sessions, and people get better. And I definitely have a kick-ass little, community of people who find the benefits of both, not only my hands-on body work, but melt.
And that's what
it's really amazing.
That's why, and you talk about this, the reason you wrote the book, or the reason you created MELT, the MELT method that I studied, and then this was years before the book came out, was because you wanted to give your private clients homework. And this is the homework that you taught them. I mean, this is essentially...
Yes, and I wanted to contribute to people's wellness and be a messenger of this profound research and science. And so I went out with that mission, and I think that's why the book has done so well, is that authenticity of just, I have this desire to let the general public know that the science and research that's global, it's not as much in the U.S. I mean, the Europeans really are, I think, much further ahead and progressive on self-care and homeopathy and different ways of wellness. And we know that because they're sick a lot less than we are. We're the most sick country on the planet, people. We need to realize that there's more that we can do. And again, happiness, joy, all of these things are part of this process. So yeah, I mean, we need to know more about this.
Now, you talk about being unstable, instability as an issue, and I think of older populations. My father's now...
I want to redefine stability. I'm going to call stability is when all of your body parts and everything in your body, emotionally, chemically, everything feels balanced and stable. You have boundless energy, efficiency, you sleep well, you digest food well, you're not overweight, you don't have a belly or gut issues, your belly doesn't feel like a hard rock. You can bend over, all your joints move without making sound.
But also,
you feel good.
As an older person, because my father...
That's 50, everybody, though. Anybody 88. Can have instability. We just don't... We need to redefine it. We need to redefine instability. We think of...
So you don't
when
just
we think of instability, we think of
populations.
people who are old or people who don't take care of themselves. But instability is not selective. Neurological instability is what we're talking about, not just structural instability. We're talking about, when we say stability, we mean on every level: emotional, chemical, physical. You said it at the beginning of your talk. This is what we're talking about: spiritual, emotional, chemical, physical, neurological, endocrine, your digestive system, the way that you poo, how much you eat. Everything is part of the process of how to make you the very best version of you every single day. And if you don't feel like you are living your best self, if the world around you is not allowing you to live your best self, then your best option is self-care and actively partake in making your life better, and maybe the environment around you will change right along with it. If you've tried everything in the outside world, you've changed your diet, you've broken up with your bad boyfriends, and you painted your house, and you feng shuied, and you went to a party, you had great sex, whatever it is, great. And this part of self-care is part of the exploration that I think we should all consider doing to learn more about how our bodies will live, hopefully until we're 100. Our generation should live the longest. So we just need to learn about this research and science. And again, I'm just hell-bent and dedicated to share this message with everybody. So again, thanks even for having me, talk to your people.
We're thrilled.
Chad
does.
To share this with you. I hope you're listening. I hope you're still listening. Are you guys sipping water, by the way? I'm like on my second. I'm almost out of water.
Explain this, because this is something that is...
Did we talk about that, sipping water? That's the secret of water, by the way. It's not the volume of water. It's consistency. Look, you'd all be better off sipping a liter of water. This is a liter of water, give or take. Sipping it and making it last for 3 hours, rather than drinking a liter of water and not drinking for 3 hours. So it's not volume. It's consistency.
I kind of do both.
Yeah,
I do a gallon. I sip it all.
But the sipping is what keeps cells more hydrated. This is in research. This is an understanding of
constant influx of water.
Exactly. The slower and more consistent your water uptake, and that's also with the foods that you eat, will also help to provide hydration. Like if you eat water-filled foods, like
live foods,
exactly. Like stop eating Fritos, people. Stop going to McDonald's for lunch. Stop
Food
doing
that's
it
been
to
alive.
yourself. Just walk away from the arch. Walk away from the arch.
Now listen, what is the difference between core strength and core stability? Because see, I know that
you mean muscular strength and neurological stability. I see.
We use
young Jedi.
People say people talk about their core,
right?
But when you talk about the core, you're talking about something totally different. So please enlighten.
So traditionally, the core, everybody knows, is like a muscle system, right? So we have the abdominal muscles, and so. If you plank, pike, twist, 100 yourself to death, that's great. And those are great for the superficial muscles and does contribute to some core stabilization on muscles. But when it comes to gut stabilization, spinal stabilization, pelvic floor stabilization, breathing, and the functions of how your autopilot, remember that word, that neurological system, sends and receives information through our spine to understand where our body's at, how the gut's doing, and all of these things, that system actually operates in a completely different way. And it's called a tonicity, tone. And the tonic systems are at a low load contraction neurologically. They're actually more reliant on the autonomic nervous system than it is our conscious mind. So all these people who say, I'm doing transversus abdominis exercises, I'm like, whatever. It's just like that deep sixth layer is so autonomic that whatever it is you think that you're feeling, it's probably more your internal obliques. I mean, can you get that system to tighten up? Yes, you can.
Yes.
It's great that you can. But how you go about doing that and how that's providing you stability, support, or any core improvement is the conundrum. And so what our core techniques of MELT are is it's a twofold system. First, you're going to learn how to stimulate your diaphragm in a way that's actually going to inherently restore that belly and diaphragmatic motion that a lot of us lose. We get a reverse breathing pattern. Most of the time you ask somebody to inhale, and what do? They go... And when they exhale, they go whoosh, and they push out. And that's called a reverse breathing pattern. What we like is when we inhale that the belly fills, and when we exhale, the body slowly comes inward. So that core is actually functioning on an autonomic level. But we can, through MELT techniques like the rebalance sequence and the reintegrate and the neurocore sequence from the MELT method performance videos, as I plug my thing, these techniques are there to help that deeper system make sure that it's still checking in and working efficiently. And you got to get in and get out of those techniques. But if you did those things and then you did things like the 100, your twists, your planks, your pikes, the actual tone that you really want to get, which is really more in the deep lumbodorsal fascia, which has more to do with your internal and external obliques, more superficial muscles. you want to get those guys working more efficiently, and that can then definitely be achieved. You will have less back pain and all of these other things.
So it's not about doing crunches.
It's not a muscle system. It's a dual neurofascial stabilizing mechanism. That is what your nervous system is doing. It has a rooting mechanism that allows your brain to figure out and equate where your head, ribs, and pelvis is. I call this a rooting mechanism. I have language of melt. Your head, ribs, and pelvis over your base of support over your feet. How does your brain keep those masses over the base of support? It does that through what are like rooting or grounding reflexes. Your brain's always constantly ebbing and flowing. Like if you ever stand with your eyes closed, you kind of feel like your body's sort of moving from heart rate and blood flow. Those are actually neurological regulatory messaging systems too. It's how your brain is functioning without you having to think about it, right? So the rooting. You also have a reflexive core, which was what we were talking about, that deep sixth layer. Every time you exhale, there's a subtle contraction in that. So the neurocore techniques of MELT actually work to enhance that neurological connection of this deep stabilizing mechanism, which is different than when you do
crunches
and the 100 and planks and pikes, which are again more about toning and shaping the 24-hour hourglass, more superficial. But they're very, very valuable, like internal obliques, getting your internal obliques to function more efficiently, guys, especially fitness people. That's the nemesis. Your external obliques are always a little lot short when you're in fitness because you're doing things like squats and pushes. So posterior tucking of the pelvis with an anterior deviation, that's called a sway back posture, super common in fitness. And that ends up loading the lumbar spine, which is why low back pain is very common for people who are, weekend warriors and, couple of time a week fitnessy people. They kind of hurt their back because their tissue's not really ready for those things. But anyway, did I get off on a tangent? I'm sorry.
Well, I want to ask
a good
you,
rant.
I want to say something first of all before.
Am I talking too fast?
I
got to get a lot of information in.
Did you have coffee before?
No.
Oh, okay. I got an email from a gentleman named Joe who's a listener. But before I read his email, I just wanted to put in a plug because we're running close to the end of the time here. The technique that I do religiously is the foot treatment.
Yeah, I love it.
So you have, so the hand and the foot treatment, you do it with several different sizes of balls of different sizes and densities. And I got to tell you, and I've never understood why this is, but when we were training,
let me tell you.
You always told me that the hand and the feet treatment are global techniques.
Right.
That's the one technique I do religiously.
You should. It's the best one to do. It's the easiest thing to do. It's the most neglected parts of our body, our hands and our feet. And guess what's in here? Guess what's in here, guys? You ready? Sensory nerve endings. Billions of them. Billions.
Especially in the feet more. It almost feels like
in the hands, because that's why I could, if I took, let's say, a pair of keys and I had you close your eyes and I put that key in your hand, you touching it, you would say it's a key. But if I put that key on your belly and said, what did I just put on your belly? You'd be like, I don't know, maybe a pencil. I don't know what that is. So the thing is, we've got billions of these proprioceptors and mechanoreceptors that give us the sense of touch. So our hands are very important. Our feet are also very important. But what do we do by the age of like not even one? We put our baby's feet in
shoes.
Yeah, stop doing that, people. Keep the shoes off as much as you can. Have more socks, have more some sort of a protective, like, sticky things so they don't hurt their cute little toes. But, really the tight shoe, don't do that. Socks are the thing if you can.
But I
know they're
foot
cute.
Treatment.
They are. Those cute little shoes are so cute.
The little shoes.
So
but I do the foot treatment if I'm getting a headache, foot treatment. If my back feels
I do it every
tight,
day when I brush my teeth.
I do that foot treatment.
That is my religion.
It feels, I have no pain. I have no pain in my body. But this is what I want to say.
Thank you.
I'm 52 and I have no pain.
And you look 35.
When
she really does.
No, but listen, when I was 32, I had pain. So
you looked older back then, I think.
Really? Oh, okay.
I think so. Or you haven't aged, is what I would say. You look exactly the same. I've known her for a decade.
10 years.
The woman doesn't
10 years.
age. Listen to whatever she's talking about. She's bringing good messages to people. Good job.
I do my foot treatment religiously and explain to them why it's a global treatment.
Why is it a global treatment? Because found in your hands and feet are all these billions of sensory nerve endings that send messages to your brain, and from your hands and feet, because they are the extremities. If you draw fluid in a direction, think about like putting your hand in a tub of water. If you spin water in a tub and then you take your hand out of the tub, what happens happens to the water?
Keeps spinning.
It keeps spinning. And so it is like a vortex. And because the fluid in connective tissue isn't really quite like the water that you drink, it has more of a gel-like substance. They actually kind of consider it a fourth phase of water. This guy, Dr. Gerald Pollack, any of you science geeks out there, check out Dr. Gerald Pollack's work and the fourth phase of water.
P-O-L-L?
Pollock, like the painter, P-O-L-L-A-C-K. Yeah, and just a genius guy who really explains how a water molecule, actually functions, the exclusion zones of what happens when force and energy passes through this fluid system, and how connective tissue is this collagenic dynamic absorbing system that actually has an electrical charge to it. They call it a piezoelectric charge. It has this thing called Meccano transduction, another fancy word for being able to take tension and compression and kind of change it into a charge where fascia stores energy and then springs back and lets go.
So good,
and so it's where mechanical pressure can actually create cellular adaptability and change. They call it Meccano transduction. Anyway, so these sorts of I think changes in the body are again what
they're
they're global. So when you tap into your hands and feet again, because not only are the nerve endings there, but because of the direction that you draw the flow, you can actually induce an entire fluid exchange. The really cool thing about the foot treatment, guys, is what we do is just to really give people the impression of what it is. You do a standing assessment. You identify some of the common imbalances. You only melt one foot, and then you close your eyes and you reassess. And you can actually feel the fluid flow change. You can feel the entire leg actually in your mind change, and that is the first step in using body sense and learning to tap into this particular area of your body called connective tissue. Forget about your muscles and bones for just a minute, people. Connective tissue is supporting, protecting, and stabilizing it all. We all need to learn how to tap into this tissue.
And you think that me regularly doing the foot treatment is why I don't have any...
I know, yes. I melt my feet every day. You know what? For years... I hated running. I found it ridiculous. Why would you run? Put on a pair of rollerblades. We'll get there faster. Running was stupid. Started running with my friend Jeff and learned a little bit more about forefoot running and about pacing and things like that. And actually, I enjoy running. But when I was younger, if I ran, my knees would kill me. Kill me. But I melt my feet before I go. I run. And then I melt after with the roller. And I'm 47 and I do not have the pain that I used to have. I literally, there was no way I would have ran even like a half a block. And I could run 5 miles. We ran 11 miles.
If I want to do any kind of promotion of this technique, I have no pain. I mean, the only thing I can
high five to that.
The only thing I can attribute it to is that because
and good DNA and good health. And are you happy?
Food. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy, but I eat good food. But also I'm positive that. I'm just positive that I would have more aches and pains if I didn't do that foot treatment. I'm just positive.
I agree. But again, I mean, happiness is a big piece of pain. Emotional pain is a real thing, and it can alter your posture, your behavior, and everything. And again, melt is really about all of these things. I don't care what you want to call it. If you feel like you want to reconnect to your body, actually connect to areas of your body that do contribute to pain. There is science and research about connective tissue. And I'm talking about the global system. Go to the Fascia Research or go to meltmethod.com. Look at the resources. Find us on Facebook. Go to the Melt Method page. All of these things. Like, the message is there. If you just even go to YouTube and type in connective tissue research, you're going to find Tom Findlay and the Fascial Research Society.
I want to get to this question. I got it in an email or in a listener. Okay, so this is for Joe. Joe says, I was born with a condition called cerebral palsy. I was wondering if you could help with stiffness and chronic pain. Now, obviously, cerebral palsy, it's a type of brain damage. It's not there's not muscle. They're not actually problems in the physical body, but it causes it.
Yes, of course, yes. But again, yes, your body is definitely
and there are varying degrees of it.
Exactly.
Do you recommend? I'm assuming you're going to say yes. Someone
yes, we deal with people with cerebral palsy. Anybody can do this, and the beauty of Melt is that, and actually, the Melt on Demand, the new app that we have, we know if you go to meltmethod.com, Melt on Demand is my video portal. And every month I put out different videos, and we're actually restructuring it. So there will be a getting started and a special circumstances section.
For people like, okay.
Yeah, so that people can learn more about that, and then bring people through the process of what can you do. And the nice thing about Melt is that each sequence is 10 minutes. And so you start to learn the sequences, and the ones that you do the best are the ones that you probably do want to start with. But the ones that we have everybody start with are the hands and the feet, because they are the base roots of all touch and movement, and then the rebalance sequence. So in the first couple of weeks, those are the ones to do. But
I also wanted to
for
say,
Joe, who's listening, I mean, Joe, look, any type of self-care can help. Self-care is still the best care. And yes, Melt can help you. You might need help doing it.
But you
might need to
you
use
have the half
bolsters,
rollers.
we have half rollers. Yes,
Yeah,
you can sit down and do the foot treatment.
We're almost out, so let me explain that. So you guys, you see the people watching the video. So what she has is she has a half roller. So in other words,
flat side and
for
curved
some,
side.
yeah, for someone who has structural
Cut
problems,
lengthwise.
you know, and they have problems, it might be hard to lie on this. So she has the half roller.
I do.
It's great if you're an elderly person and you have balance
Scoliosis,
issues. Yeah.
Parkinson's.
So the half roller could be really good for
Very
someone who has a challenge.
And there'll be more videos using that one come later this year. The Melt for Pilates section will probably come up before the end of the year. We're a small growing company. I'm a young entrepreneur like everybody else. Did I mention my issues with social media?
Yeah.
But my goal here again is to share this Melt message with everybody and get people really to learn how to self-care.
Very quick question: is there any population who should not melt?
No, everybody should melt. I don't care
so
what
that's
your
okay.
age, your activity level. If you want to live an active, healthy, pain-free life, then this technique is for you.
Okay, so any
Anybody.
population.
Everybody
okay.
should try it. Everybody
So-
should melt. Everything's better melted.
Okay, I love that. Everything, even ice cream is
Even
better
ice
melted.
cream. You got
All
it.
right. So I just wanted to say, listen, again, if you're hearing this episode as a podcast, you missed it on Facebook Live, but you want to watch the show, even though you missed it on Facebook Live, go to youtube.com/Tara Marie Live. youtube.com/Tara Marie Live. Look for the video entitled The Melt Method, Healing Chronic Pain. You can also access my YouTube channel on my website, taramarie.com. I want to thank my wonderful guest, let me hold up her book. For more information about Sue and all of the cool products she offers, check out her website. Now, this is the book, The Melt Method, A Breakthrough Self-Treatment System. It's available wherever books are sold, it's bookstores, Amazon.com. But she has a lot of other cool products like the balls and the things to do
And
the
we
melt.
also have 2,000
Yeah.
melt instructors worldwide. We are in 28 countries. I just got off of being in London and doing a training with 15 different countries. Amazing. I mean, what a gift. But look, if you're in suffering and chronic pain, yes, you can learn it on your own. And I think that that's a great thing to just start learning about it. But go to the Melt Method page. Go to meltmethod.com. Click on Find the Instructors. Find Melt. Find where there are classes and one-on-one, because really, if you are in pain and you have a fear of helping yourself, we are here to help you overcome that fear so that you too can help yourself feel better.
There are people living in little teeny tiny towns. If you are someone who you
instructors in teeny tiny towns.
But if you can't find an instructor, Melt on Demand just released, and I want to plug this again. Go to meltmethod.com. Meltmethod.com. So Melt on Demand is streaming videos with new treatments and sequences every single month with step-by-step treatment plans to get you started and then build your own self-care practice, a daily self-care practice with Melt. And you can use any device and you'll be able to then use Melt anytime, anywhere. I want to have a very quick little Tara Marie's Tip segment. My Tara Marie's Tip segment is very simple. It's probably what you would expect me to say. Your body is designed to heal itself, but it's not going to do that unless you do for it what it needs. And a lot of the things that we do to ourselves, they really put us in these pickles. And then we have these unexplained aches and pains, and no judgment from me, because 20 years ago, I had aches and pains all over my body. I'm not aging in reverse. Obviously, my body's 20 years older, but I am doing different things to take care of myself. So aging does not mean getting fat and having aches and pains, which is what I was taught that's what I was taught in my generation. I was taught by the time you're 40, it's all over.
I want to live in your world. That's right.
That's not the case.
Come on our side.
Getting older, you don't have to have aches and pains. You don't have to feel poorly. You don't have to get fat, but you do have to do what your body needs in a very natural way. It's funny, if you give the body what it needs, it's really like a self-healing machine. It's quite remarkable. Yeah, it's quite remarkable.
Help yourself.
Now, that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that you will join me next time. Again, if you have comments about this show, I want to hear them. Tell me what's on your mind. Let me know using the hashtag TarumReLive on Twitter. And please, if you're on iTunes, rate and review TarumReLive. Chad always laughs. I just tell people, what the heck? Give me 5 stars. What do you care? Give me 5 stars.
5 for this one, at least. 5. Give us 5.
You can subscribe to TarumReLive using iTunes or your favorite podcast app right on my website, tarumary.com. That's TARAMARIE.com. And by the way, if you're just new to this show, all past episodes of TarumReLive are posted on tarumary.com, so you can go to my website and download and listen to all of them from there. While you're on my website, sign up for my mailing list. You'll get my newsletter with my TarumRe's tips about nutrition and fitness and motivation and getting on the path to health. And I always send out information about the latest episode of my podcast. I am very active on social media, contrary to Sue. So connect with me on Facebook. It's at TarumReLive. And on Twitter, it's at TarumRe_live. Make better choices today than you did yesterday, and you'll always be moving in the right direction. I love you guys. Peace out.